Welcome to today's explainer. Today, we're taking a whiteboard approach to completely decode the hidden grading criteria behind CELPIP Writing Task 1. We are going to break down exactly what those examiners are secretly looking for. And to make this absolutely crystal clear, we'll be blending primary English concepts with supportive Chinese explanations. So, if you've been struggling to push that writing score into the 9, 10, or even 12 range, you are in the exact right place. Let's dive into it.
Here's our blueprint for today's masterclass. We'll start with the examiner's hidden question, move through the contextual decision tree, break down the 4-paragraph model, do a final fine-tune, and wrap up with the soul of your email.
All right, let's jump right into Section 1, the examiner's hidden question. Before you even think about typing a single word on test day, you absolutely must understand the ultimate question every CELPIP examiner is asking themselves when they read your screen. It's this. Does this email read like it was written by a real, socially aware person living in Canada? Listen, they aren't just running a basic grammar check on you. They are actively testing your Canadian cultural awareness. They want to see your understanding of social norms and boundaries, your 社交边界. Do you actually know how to talk to a neighbor differently than you talk to a boss? That is what truly moves the needle on your score.
To achieve this socially aware status, you have to hit 4 distinct dimensions. First, you've got to lock in your audience. Second, you have to dodge emotional traps, meaning avoiding those rigid, memorized templates that just sound totally unnatural. Third, you need to utilize polite, euphemistic phrasing. And fourth, you must rely on a mental mind map, your SUE Doc 2, to keep your logic perfectly aligned within that strict 150 to 200 word limit.
Moving right along to Section 2, the contextual decision tree.
Okay, the exam countdown begins. What's the biggest mistake test takers make right out of the gate? They start writing immediately. Do not do that. Instead, you want to memorize and run this exact contextual decision tree, your jujishu, in your head. It acts as your mental startup routine, and the whole thing kicks off with Step 1, prompt analysis.
Step 1 of your prompt analysis is stopping to ask one incredibly vital question. Who is actually receiving this message? This is so crucial because misjudging Canadian social distance is a massive trap for non-native speakers. The recipient dictates literally everything else, your entire tone, your vocabulary choices, and your level of directness.
So, you must strategically map your recipient to the correct tone. If you're writing to friends or family, your tone has to be informal. Keep it casual and warm. Think, "Hi, Sarah." For neighbors or acquaintances, you shift to a semi-formal tone. It's friendly, sure, but respectful of personal boundaries, like, "Hello, Mr. Davis." And if you're writing to a manager or an official, you must lock into a formal tone. Keep it professional and objective, using something like, "Dear Miss Johnson."
Next up in your analysis, define your exact purpose and watch out for specific traps. For example, if you are asked to complain about something, the biggest trap is getting angry in your writing. You must focus entirely on objective facts and strictly avoid emotional vocabulary. Instead of writing, "I am furious," you'd write, "I was disappointed to find." If you're inviting someone, always give polite reasons. If apologizing, be completely sincere. Zero excuses, just offer solutions. And if you're making a suggestion, a brilliant Canadian cultural strategy is to affirm the current situation first before proposing any alternatives. Now we're on to Section 3, the golden 4-paragraph model. Once your tone and purpose are totally locked in, you move to Step 2 of the mind map, building the structure. You are going to use this golden 4-paragraph model every single time. Why? Because it guarantees a clear, logical, Canadian-style progression of thought. It completely prevents you from rambling and ensures you hit every single requirement the examiner is scanning for. Let's break down the first half of this model. Paragraph 1 is all about your context-matched salutation and stating your reason immediately. No beating around the bush here, just, "I am writing to inform you about," or "I am writing to request." Then, in paragraph 2, you expand on the what. This is where you get specific. Describe the background facts, what exactly happened, and give concrete dates. You are painting a purely factual picture right here. Then we move to the second half. Paragraph 3 explains the how or the why. Basically, how did this situation impact you, or what are the further necessary details? Finally, paragraph 4 is your call to action. You have to tell them exactly what you want them to do, but, and this is a big but, it crucially must be packaged in polite, euphemistic language. This is what we call Weiwan Yutai Iching Cho. Soften that request, and then wrap the whole thing up with a context-matched sign-off.
Section 4, The final fine-tune check. Let's see how to polish this up.
So, you've built the email. Now comes step 3 of our mental startup routine, the all-important review phase. You need to scan your draft for 3 specific pitfalls. First, a vocabulary scan, or 词汇检查. Did you accidentally use slang with your boss? Fix it. Second, a tense scan, 时态检查. If you were describing an incident that happened yesterday, are your verbs actually in the past tense? Third, and honestly the most important, a tone scan, 语气检查. Does your request accidentally sound like a strict command?
If your request does sound a bit like an order, here is an absolute game changer of a strategy from the source material. Instantly soften it with the phrase, I would appreciate it if. For example, instead of writing, refund my money now, you write, I would appreciate it if you could process a refund. This perfectly aligns with Canadian workplace culture. It transforms a harsh demand into a respectful, high-scoring request. It's like magic.
And finally, Section 5, the soul of your email.
Let's bring this all together to understand what separates a passing grade from a perfect score. As our source so brilliantly puts it, vocabulary and grammar form the skeleton of your language, but context gives your email its soul. Contextual accuracy is the impassable moat for scoring a 9, a 10, or higher. Anyone can memorize grammar rules, right? But understanding the audience, hitting the right tone, and mastering cultural politeness, that is what actually breathes life into your writing.
So, I want you to keep this question at the absolute front of your mind during your test prep. Are you just building a language skeleton, or are you actually giving your email a socially aware Canadian soul? Rely on that contextual decision tree, practice the golden 4-paragraph model, and always double-check your tone. Think about the last practice email you wrote. If a real Canadian read it right now, would they feel respected or offended? Something to think about. Thanks for joining today's Explainer, and happy studying.